here I am on the other side of the camera. I don't do this very often, so bear with me, but we're going to have a good time looking at some winter interest plants that I really appreciate and are doing well in our winter garden. Jim always talks about going to places like the J.C. Ralston Arboretum and checking out what's doing well in different seasons. And we've done that. We've done that several times this year to see how things are going over there for some beautiful plants and getting more ideas. But today we're going to look in our own backyard or front yard, as this case may be, and see what's doing well. Starting off with a plant we haven't talked about a whole lot. It's a sweet viburnum. It's a viburnum odoratissimum sugar cookie. What makes this special compared to other sweet viburnum? It's compact. Look at it here. It couldn't be much more beautiful as a foundation plant, and it stays 5 to 6 feet tall versus much taller, and it's nice and compact. It has the same characteristics of the other sweet viburnums, has this white flowers that are fragrant, but it's just a great size and compact plant for right next to our door. It's also right next to our door because those sweet viburnums have sweetly fragrant flowers. So when we come out of the door, we can smell this fragrance. We can also smell the fragrance from some other things like the gardenias we've got out here and some osmanthus and such. So we've got good placement for a lot of these plants. What else can I say about it? It's got sort of a bronzing color in the winter. It's hardy zone 8 to 10, so we might get some leaf droppage from some of our colder weather we've already had. But that's okay. It'll pop back out and do just wonderfully in the spring if we do lose some of the leaves. I love this plant. I'm so pleased that we put it where we put it. I will say another great thing. Think of this also as a great privacy hedge. A short one. Jim talks about like if you have a patio or something that you'd like to privatize a bit, you could use this as a nice screening privacy area. One last thing, by placing it next to the house like we did, it keeps it a little warmer. So we will likely have it do a little better for us in the zone 8 to 10 that it is hardy in. All right, well, I've moved over to the Snowbell's camellia, but I wanted to take note, we've got a little pumpkin in the window. That's Griffin. I got his t-shirt on. I love to wear something that celebrates this sweet boy. Anyway, so let's talk about Snowbells. It is a camellia, and you know, we see so many Camellia sasanquas and Camellia japonicas, and they're wonderful plants, but there's a whole lot of other species that are absolutely fabulous, and this is one. You can tell it's different in the leaf size, the habit of the plant. It's a very different camellia, and it is beautiful. It has sort of white to light pink blooms that in kind of late winter for us, like February-ish, starts in the inner part of the plant and gradually comes out. And there's multiple blooms on each internode. So like I'm looking at this right here, and I can count 4 coming out on one little spot right there. And right next to it, there's 4 more. So it's going to be amazing when it starts to open up. The form here you can see is sort of weeping, sort of a weeping vase-shaped form. And this plant right here gets 8 to 10 feet. Now we could have it fairly tall here, but at some point we might do some selective pruning, which might make it a little less weeping. So we'll see what we do with this, but it's just a beautiful plant. It's Camellia handeli, and it's a little more difficult to find, but certainly worth the effort. I know Camellia Forest has had it, and it is a beautiful plant. This is another plant that you might use in an informal hedge, so to speak, because of its sort of weeping form. You could make, and this one being more in a semi-shade area. And you can see we've got this, it gets a good amount of morning sun, but it's protected from the hot afternoon sun, which it doesn't prefer to have. So it's going to be perfect. But you could make a nice privacy screen, again, around a patio or something. It would be just beautiful. Zone 7 to 9. Great plant for a great specimen in your landscape or an informer like hedge. Just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Camellia handeli snowbells. Just gonna say hello to this gorgeous 4-season interest plant. Nightlight Chamaecyparis, such a beautiful plant. Thank you for being you. All right, we're gonna head over to a nandina that is shining in the landscape. It was put here to have contrast around some of the green conifers, the green leafed ones, and just a beautiful plant. It is blush pink nandina. Look at this thing. It is called blush pink because the new growth has this blush pink color to it. It gets a little more greens in the growing season, and then for the winter, it's got this pinks and reds and some modeling green in the center, but on the outside, it's just gonna shine with all this bright color. It's such a beautiful plant. It's not gonna be invasive, no flowers. It's going to be a lovely dwarf plant. It only gets about 2 feet by 1.5 or 2 feet tall. It's just a great accent plant in your landscape. It can also be a mass planting, or it can be a very short hedge if you just want to denote a border on something. Such a great plant. It's zone 6 to 10, so a lot of you can grow it. And being that it's zone 6 to 10, it would be a great accent plant in a container for people in zone 8 to 10. So one of my objectives was to talk about some plants that we don't often talk about. And this is one of them. I think we just keep thinking it's going to not do well for us, and it's just chugging along, doing just great. It's a Picea orientalis nigra compacta, or compact oriental spruce. Its hardiness is listed as 5 to 7 or 4 to 7. I saw 4 to 8 as well. We're in zone 8, so we're pushing the boundaries on this one as far as heat. It doesn't love heat and humidity, so humidity is another one that, you know, it's doing great. It's just a lovely plant in our landscape. Conifers really they shine in the winter when a lot of other things have gotten quieter in your landscape. They're just beautiful for color and texture, and just obviously one of my favorite things. We went to Islay not that long ago, and it's kind of like a kid in a candy store. I must say this plant can be pyramid formed or rounded formed. Ours looks like it's going to be a little more rounded than a pyramid. We are trying, I should go back to the zones and explain that the zone hardiness for this is why it's where it is. It's getting some protection from the afternoon sun from my also favorite Rosalinda Indian hawthorn. It's getting some protection from that, and we're also doing a really good job cooling the root zone with mulching and ground covers. I think there is sedum that grows along the base of this as well. This is a Japanese sacred lily, or Rhodia japonica. This particular cultivar we got from a visit to Piccadilly Farm outside of Athens, Georgia. We love Athens, Georgia, and we love all things horticulture, so it's a great place to go. And we also really enjoy getting plants that remind us of our travels and things that we enjoy doing. This particular Rhodia is called Piccadilly Pace, and the variegation in it is just so striking. Some of the whites are thicker than others, but they just really shine in a winter landscape. Now, Rhodia is a plant from Asia that is very prevalent in Japan, and there are hundreds of different cultivars of Rhodia. They are a little more difficult to find, I think, because for one thing, they do grow quite slowly, so we will be very patient with this plant. But if you do see one, please try it. It's a great alternative to hostas, and it's evergreen. If you've got some deer problems, rabbit problems, dry shade, they're a very tolerant plant and just beautiful in a shady landscape. I should add that because you want to put these in a semi-shade to shaded area. But Japanese sacred lily is a gorgeous plant. It does get insignificant flowers, but what is significant are the beautiful orangish red berries that come out of the base of each of the plants. It's a gorgeous ground cover and specimen plant in a shaded landscape. Well, I wouldn't do a video about my favorite plants without including Rosa's blush. Jim knows I love this plant. I would add more and more of them to the landscape if I had more than just a landscape of ones. So this is our Rosa's blush blueberry. It is native to the southeast, zone 7 to 10, but you know, it's definitely a lot more vigorous growing in the 8 to 10 range. So a great plant. I consider it a chameleon in the landscape. It has pink to purple new growth that just shine, sort of turns to a bluish silver, bluish gray, and then it gets fall color into winter color that has dark pinks to purples and silvers, and just has so many different colors in it. It's just phenomenal. I really would use this one here. I'd love to put a few more on the other side of it to sort of balance out design-wise our landscape. Such a great plant. Of course, it gets blueberries. We don't really eat them ourselves. We have had kids eat them at the open garden, but we leave them. The chipmunks like them. The birds come in and eat them. They're sort of a wildlife feeder for us in the landscape. They tend to be evergreen for us, and it's just a beautiful plant. Gets about 2 to 3 feet tall by 2 to 3 feet wide. Great accent plant, great specimen plant. Beautiful addition to our landscape, and one that I would include more if I could. This plant's Erysimum, common name wallflower. We have 5 of these in the Bright Side series. They could come in different colors, like a lemon yellow and yellow, and this orange right here, and some whites and magentas. Just a beautiful plant. For us, it kind of depends on where you are as to what kind of bloom you get. For us, it does absolutely nothing in the summer. In fact, it looks miserable in the summer. So while other things start shining, it says, not so much. But it has been blooming since late summer through our 15-degree weather, setting more buds, and just keeps on going. Now, we might get some dieback from our colder winter, but it is hardy from zone 7 to 10, and it'll pick back up blooming in early spring. Now, I would say the length of bloom and the fact that up in colder climates, it'll bloom all summer long, it would be great in containers as an annual as well. It's just a beautiful plant. It really likes well-drained soil, which is great for where we have here. Things do drain off this slope in the very front of the house quite well, so it should do just perfectly here. The pollinators, you know, one thing that Jim showed on a video recently, we had a very odd December 20th sighting of hummingbird. And if you have things that are blooming like this in different times of year, it helps for the wildlife to be able to move to the areas that they are migrating towards. So Erysimum, the Bright Side series, has been a great addition to our landscape. This is a gorgeous Aucuba. Aucubas serve a great purpose in a winter garden because a lot of times they have really distinctive and different foliage. They have glossy leaves, which make them shine in the landscape, but they also often have different types of variegation that, being that they enjoy a shadier area, light shade to shade, gives a little brightness in the landscape. This one is called Ogon no Suki. It is somewhat rare. You definitely have to do your research to find this. We got this one at Plant Delights, and another thing being that this one has very large, creamy colored areas in the leaves. It's going to make it grow even slower. So we don't expect this one to be off to the races, but just as it is absolutely beautiful. It'll get 2 or 3 feet tall, so it's a shorter Aucuba, but it'll just be great in this, in the protected area of this Stella ruby. It's got a great cryptomeria near it. It's got another beautiful Aucuba, Hosoba Hoshifu. I had to think twice for that one because it's a mouthful. And another really interesting thing we have here is a lingonberry. Now this was just a lark kind of purchase for us. We wanted to see what it would do, and it's doing okay. It's getting some really pretty purple winter color, and we did get a few berries as well. So we'll see if it stays with us, but it's a beautiful plant. The only thing that we need to do, and this is sort of, I'm just saying this because get ready, we've got a lot of things going on in the garden, and one of the big things we're going to be doing is relocating some plants. And this Weigela here is in a northern spot, gets absolutely no sun, really hardly, and it needs to move. It doesn't really serve a purpose here, though it does tend to get a few blooms. It's got to go anyway. So great area of contrasting color and texture with the shining example of this great Aucuba. There's Hank and Griffin. They'd love to come out and join us, but they're going to watch instead. Hank is my son's dog, and we have the pleasure of his company for the holiday season, so he's great. Anyway, I have one last plant to talk about, but I'm really curious as to what's looking good in your landscape. We've got lots of great winter interests, and what do you fall on to look good this time of year? My last plant we don't talk a lot about as well. It is a variegated gardenia radicans. It's zone 7 to 10 is what most people say for gardenias, but because of its variegation, we're thinking that maybe 7B to 10 might be a more accurate place to call it hardy. So it is a variegated gardenia, and also because of the variegation that shines on it, we don't really have to have those beautifully fragrant blooms, and sometimes you won't get as much because of that variegation. But I must say, this past year it was covered with fragrant blooms, which is great right next to the screened-in porch to have a nice fragrant plant. We have it tucked in right here to protect it from the afternoon sun and to protect it from winter winds and the cold. So I think we've got a good place for it. We also have it in a place where it has great contrast. Right above it is a Weigela that gets chartreuse. Of course, it's not right now because it's deciduous. We've got the viburnum davidi right here, sort of great contrast in texture and color. And behind them is the Fatcetera angiostar. It's just a beautiful composition here and a beautiful plant as a short specimen in your landscape. It gets like 1 foot tall or so, maybe a little bit taller, and maybe 2 or 3 feet wide. It's a beautiful plant for us, and I would suggest it if you have a nice protected place for it. Thank you all for listening. Hope you're doing well this holiday season, and take care. Just great plants. Anyway, so I will say this plant is can be pyramidal,